She says, I was just notified by the Daily Beast of their intention to run a story about some of my coworkers' disdain for my views regarding COVID, Uyghurs, Ukraine, etc., and then running off to management whining about it as if this is news to anyone who watches the show. LOL. What was your first response to this before we get into some of the context?
Well, it's funny enough, actually, Gavin, I think we had an extremely similar reaction, which is just like, one, you want to know who she's subtweeting, right? Who she's subtweeting. You're like, who the fuck are you talking about? But you also are like, I'm pretty sure that the fucking management at the Hill watches Rising, so it doesn't make sense to run off and tell management what somebody is publicly publishing and saying on the show. That, Jesus Christ, you would hope if you managed a show, you would watch it. Maybe that's a low bar in media. I get it. You don't want to watch 4 hours of fucking Morning Joe every day or however long they're on there. But like, I would hope that the Hill producers are watching this, or whatever the management is named at the Hill. And then also, you know, whether or not I agree with Kim Iversen on any of the issues that she's listed, sometimes we do agree, sometimes we don't agree. That's why I think she's a interesting voice to have on the Hill. Never would I advocate for her to not be there. Never would I advocate for her to get fired. I actually think she's one of the best reasons to watch it, right? Because it gives me a different perspective. I like watching her debate Brianna Joy Gray when she's on there. I like watching her debate Ryan Grimm and sometimes Robbie Suave. Anyway, out of all of the motherfuckers that we've roasted the shit out of for being on Rising, I would say that she's got some of the best stage presence or like, delivery or whatever. And I genuinely believe that she believes what she has to say. So even if I think it's cringy and wrong sometimes, or if I think it's right on the money, I don't want her to be censored. So that was my fucking initial reaction. And also, I did want to know right off the bat, like, who she was fucking implying this was. I had my first guess, but I don't want to say.
Well, that's the interesting part of this story. It's not all that surprising that Daily Beast would run a hit piece on Kim Iversen. And, I don't even know if hit piece is the right word. They might just do a story talking about her viewpoints. There's nothing necessarily inherently wrong with that. I'm sure she would categorize it as a hit piece. But, if you're a commentator working for an outlet like The Hill and you have controversial viewpoints, then of course you're going to expect to see a piece from the Daily Beast written about you. It's not really that big of a deal. What was more interesting to me, though, is her implication that this was kind of coming from her coworkers, that there was some Karen coworker of her that, tried to snitch or tried to call management up and get this story run. That's what's really interesting here. And a lot of people assumed that she was talking about Ryan Grimm because of the fact that they've publicly disagreed with one another quite a few times on Rising. We've covered that on the Vanguard when they've gotten in little debates and Ryan has pushed back on her radars and they've kind of got into it a little bit. That's a recurring theme of Rising. So, some people were assuming that maybe it was Ryan Grimm who tattled. However, she clears up that rumor and says it wasn't Ryan Grimm. They asked him for a comment. He's upfront when he doesn't agree with me. As you've all seen, he doesn't need to go off whining. And Kim has actually defended Ryan Grimm quite a few times now for this exact reason, saying that, Ryan and I don't agree on everything, but I have to give him credit because he's always willing to discuss our disagreements. He's always willing to debate. He's always willing to have a dialogue. He's not the kind of guy that would go behind her back and, hit up the Daily Beast. Like that's just not his style. However, like I said, a lot of people assumed it was him that did that. So she's kind of clearing that up. And Robbie also says, not me either. So I guess that leaves us with Emily Jasinski, and seems like Brianna Joy Gray is now part of Rising. But I'm gonna guess it's not Brianna.
Oh, bro, that was my guess from jump, actually. I like Ryan Grimm. That's public knowledge. Everybody knows that we like Ryan, even though we disagree with him a lot. I always give them examples. It's like two friends of the show that we get the most shit for being friends of our show. Not that I think Ryan Grimm considers me a personal friend at all, but, it's the fact that, Ryan Grimm and Glenn Greenwald, right? And it's like, obviously I have disagreements with both of these men, but I also respect the shit out of both of them for different reasons. And the thing that you have to give about Ryan Grimm, even though people smear the shit out of him for dog shit reasons, it's like, no, he will come on your show and he will disagree with you to your face, and then you could fucking just be like, hey man, thanks for coming on my show and disagreeing with me, and he'll be like, hey man, I'm really glad that there are young people that are invested in this. And I'm like, wow, you're such a friendly fucking guy. Like, I'm sorry that I took so many shots at you when you were first getting started on Rising, and I thought you were fucking bad at publicly performing. You know, I'm like, wow, I feel kind of guilty about that because you're a sweetheart. I think you're probably a good dad and stuff. And, you know, and so for that was the main reason why I wanted to talk about this is that from jump, I knew it wasn't Ryan Grimm because I just didn't think that was his style. He's not like a call mommy or call the manager kind of a guy. I immediately was like, it's the lady that works at the Federalist, bro. It's Emily Jasinski. She's talking about how this is like a fucking communist. She wants to bring back the Red Scare. I don't have any evidence to support this. This is all conjecture. But I'm just saying, I don't see anybody else that would fit the bill because I also, you know, to all of our massive disagreements, Robbie's a libertarian. That's not the kind of guy that usually runs and fucking cries censorship, especially not like given the politics that I'm aware that he has. Again, I'm not like fucking massively familiar with the guy, but I've listened to his radar. I've listened to his discussion. He's pretty open to discourse. Makes sense that somebody who considers themselves a true conservative would be the one whining to the fucking management at the Hill, which we already know is massively conservative. The ownership at the Hill is very massively conservative. But anyway, what did you think? Who do you think it was?
I have to assume it was Emily Jasinski, unless she's talking about someone that wasn't her co-host and it was just someone that worked at the Hill. But she doesn't deny it here because this commenter says coworkers meaning co-hosts. And she says, LOL, well, it wasn't Ryan Grimm. So she's basically not denying that it was a co-host. And if it wasn't Robbie, who says it wasn't me, and it wasn't Ryan, then again, that leaves us with Brianna Joy Gray and Emily Jasinski. I don't think it was Brianna Joy Gray. I don't think it was Brianna Joy Gray, guys. So I guess it was Emily Jasinski. Again, this is all speculation. We don't know that for a fact, but that's the only host left. So
maybe it was the lady that we destroyed her career and she was co-host with Roger Federer, the tennis player, for like a couple of days until Gavin and I hit the wormhole, guys. We hit the fucking YouTube algorithm one night where, for whatever reason, Gavin and I running our mouths about how terrible Rising was actually did way better than the Rising episode that day. And I guarantee you, not to toot our own horn, but this is one of the ones I'm really proud of. I guarantee you the fucking execs at the Hill fucking saw that chick and they yanked that bitch. She was never back on Rising a single time. We just fucking dragged them. I think it's got like, what, 85,000 views on YouTube. The best video we've ever fucking done. It's literally just Gavin and I savagely dragging this woman. Yeah, calling her deranged. I would say 80,000 views or something like that. Either way, it was crazy. It was unwatchable. That was 10 months ago. Holy shit. Time fucking flies, man. Time really flies. But anyway, we're going to be here doing the Vanguard through time and space forever.